Hello, my name is Ondřej Adámek. I'm composer and conductor from Czech Republic, and I lived 8 years in France where I studied and learned so much things about composing. And now I'm living since 10 years in Berlin. In between, I was 2 years in Madrid, 1 year in Roma. When I was 15 years old, once I entered a tea room in Prague. It was one of very few Oriental style something, and there was a spontaneous jam of tabla and sitar, and I was completely trapped by this music. And since that, I'm very interested in many different cultures, and I am collecting instruments and learning sometimes something. So with 15, I started to learn tabla like a autodidact. There were no teachers in Prague. And later I discovered also other music than Indian music. But Indian music is accompanying me since almost 30 years very intensively. As I used some little elements of different cultures in my music with 15, 16, 17, the director of Prague Conservatory once said I should have a stay in Birmingham. I don't know why he did say that, but later I met Stefan Meyer, and he explained to me more about Birmingham and maybe why this director was encouraging me to go there once. And he was explaining me it's maybe the city in Europe with the biggest number of minorities. And we started to speak about Cavalli, and I didn't know Cavalli culture. I discovered it through Stefan Meyer and started to listen to it, and it was just absolutely fascinating. Sometimes I discover a music that has incredible energy, and I start to dream to be able to do this kind of energy with my musicians on the stage. And I know it's not possible, but this task, this impossibility, is somehow encouraging me and exciting me, and I'm trying the best way how to do it. So, what is Qawwali singing? It's a tradition. It's a Sufi tradition. So it means Muslim mystics. So one of the Sufi tradition is called Qawwali. Musically, it's often with Sufi music, it's something about trance. And Qawwali music, I can describe it if you take from Indian music the most culminative moments, the most exciting or most transoid or energical moments, or the most energical way of singing and doing music, then you construct, and then you will get Qawwali actually. So it's an essence of the highest energy in, for example, ending of raga introductions and so on. So in some way the music is simplified, in other way the music is extremely interesting and refined. And the texts are often spiritual. It's often an open talk to the divine, open and super direct talk to the divine. And that's what is fascinating for me. So what I'm doing since, let's say, a year is collecting texts, and that has something to do with Qawwalis, maybe some short quotations of different Qawwali singing, but also come from other cultures, yeah, from Jewish and from Christian, and that they are like a very direct, intensive talk to the God. And I somehow could put together different lyrics. I can give some examples. One is from Christian tradition, and it's "My heart is restless until it finds the rest in you." And it's Sant Augustine, so very famous line. But there is a very beautiful line of one Jewish poet. She is a mystic Jewish, and her name was Etty Hillesum, and she died in Auschwitz. And I will do a short quotation. If I were locked in a tight cell and I could see a white cloud floating through a small barred window, I would offer that cloud to you at least while I had the strength to do so. That's all that matters, to save a piece of you. I will never drive you out of me. So there are two examples of non-Sufi tradition, and from Qawwali, it's the beginning and the title, "Whence comes the voice, singing strings, vibrant wood, throbbing drums. Not from string, not from wood, not from a drum. Of himself comes the voice of the beloved," and so on. So that's the short examples of the text. I choose quite classical. I let the way that normally the rag in India is introduced by rag alap jor, alap jala, I I took those elements and constructed the form.
Mhm.
So it means it starts very slow and it's getting faster and more in pulsation and in groove till it is very rhythmical. And the text is more looped in kind of repetition that creates energy and trance.
Mhm.
And I use one specific mood, so mode of rag toddy, more or less. It's my first time after 25 years that I'm again writing modal music.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's it. What I'm trying is to find the essential energy and authenticity, and not really doing any cultural appropriation. So
Mhm.
I'm not using tablas, I'm not using tempura, I'm not using drum, but I'm observing, listening a lot of Indian music and Qawwali music and Sufi music, and I try to find how they do it. It's so incredible, and to transpose those little elements that I look in the microscope in my score.
Mhm.
We have two singers. One is Neil Kamrul, who comes from Bangladesh, and I know him because we did music in dialogue 3 years ago. And he will be used mostly as a singer. He's a great singer. He's a baritone, and he's a very polyvalent guy. Huh? He plays many instruments and is interested in many directions. But Sufism is very close to him. He might play flute, especially in the beginning. I put some kind of fermatas where he can do a short improvisation, and he might play some rhythmical instrument at the end. I haven't decided yet. The piece will be very difficult for him because he never studied so detailed score, I think. But we are preparing to a way how I can let him work before we meet in Birmingham.
Mhm.
And the other singer is Shigeko Hata. She is Japanese
Yeah.
opera singer living
Mhm.
in Paris, and I work with her since 11 years, and she's my favorite singer and my singer in my ensemble. We did a lot of projects together, so it's maybe a sixth piece I'm writing for her, and she might be also very helpful for Neil if ever he gets lost. But the ensemble is conducted. There is no much like improvisation. It's very rhythmical piece. We have to rehearse a lot in quite classical way, even if the result will be something between contemporary and Indian music. So actually, I'm in touch with the ensemble, BCMG, or a little bit longer because they played also my piece, Senior's Voices,
Mhm.
and I wrote a canal serenade for some of the musicians of the ensemble and flash mob choir. What is quite incredible about this ensemble and Birmingham is, and Stefan Meyer and you all, is this kind of, because the struggle of classical and contemporary music is that it's very elitist and it has to be elitist. We have to learn our instruments long time, and we have to buy very expensive instruments, and it's an elitist art. It has to be, but we need to open to the people. We should not close and get isolated, and that's something very sensitive and fragile because everybody can do music with the means of today, with the computers, with the garage band and so on. Everybody can be photographer, everybody is painter and theater director and so on. I'm not fan of this direction that everybody does everything and nothing is really deep. At the same time, I feel that the gap should never happen between people and musicians, between public and us. We are part of people and we need to communicate. And I really love what Stefan Meyer does and what BCMG does and you do is to stay like highest quality. It was always been last year's in Birmingham with orchestra with ensemble and with the orchestra center and so on. And at the same time, to include everybody, to include large public, to include more cultures. We did kind of improvisations last time with Bangladesh, Pakistani musicians that came especially for that. Some of them went great, others not. But it's not like only like cheap. We can have fun making music together. It's not about that. It's really going deeply. What is this culture and what is this culture, and how can we dialogue and be together? And that's what I love about this ensemble. So about the ideas of Stefan and also with this Canal Serenade and inviting different people, different cultures. Yeah. Usually when I write a piece, there's an institution who pays for it, or maybe two institutions who share for free. as I spend a lot of time and I really work in very much detail. I ask a lot of money and I can write just one piece a year. And who wants my music, he really has to pay for it. And that's a very, for me, original, a new way how it works in Birmingham, because it seems that there is quite a big group of people who must be very enthusiastic and really supportive and who maybe wait for my piece. So I really write for them. And that's lovely. That's encouraging. It's something about what I was saying before, like opening to the people, not just being isolated. And that's also why I became conductor to be with people and to be for people, to share this energy between musicians and in public. And it's lovely to know that there are about 35 people who are supporting my piece and who will come to the concert and who will maybe meet me after the concert. And this kind of community energy that is very positive, and I'm very happy to hear about that. So thank you.